Hi, I'm Doug McCartney, not related to Paul unfortunately, but a great fan nevertheless. Now, this is the first in a series of videos I shall be making concerned with religion. Here in Australia we have a bloke, what is he now? He's a journalist called Greg Sheridan. Now Greg is very popular, very well known, very likeable and highly intelligent man, and he has recently written a book all about Christianity. There's one major problem with this book of his: it's filled with lies and falsehoods, and I'm going to point them out to you one at a time. And see, Greg, as I say, he's a highly intelligent man. He had the benefit of a university education, which I never did, as you can tell by my manner of speech. I left school the day I turned 15 and ended up as a deckhand in the Merchant Navy. So, you know, by the time I'd reached the age of 25, I couldn't tell you the difference between Plato and a platypus. So, even so, I learned one or two things over the years, and I even made a study of the Bible, which it appears to me is something that Greg Sheridan never has done. His head, for all his intelligence, his head is crammed full of the sort of garbage that's jammed into children's heads when they're really, really young. And he's never bothered to research it. He's never looked into it to see what's true and what isn't. And the garbage that was jammed into his brain is what has ended up in his book. And I'm going to go through it bit by bit, and this will only take about 10 minutes, so bear with me. I think you'll enjoy it. Hopefully you will. And yeah, so let's get started.
No, so I would never make a defence of the way Trump speaks or behaves or something. I thought that tweet recently where he said of his ex-aide, the woman who wrote a book about him, "Thank God we sacked that dog," or something. Well, I just find it grotesque that, you know, you would refer to someone as a dog. Horrible.
And so, Greg, I understand that you are appalled, horrified in fact, that Donald Trump should refer to someone as a dog. I agree with you. That's pretty harsh, pretty unkind and cruel. And yet, you worship a Christ thing, I don't know, a zombie, a walking corpse, a dead body that sprang back to life. You worship him, despite the fact that he called a sick, probably dying child a dog. How come? Well, I know how come. It's because when you were a child, a whole heap of shit was jammed into your brain, and despite your intelligence today, you haven't got what it takes to realize that what you believe is nothing but shit, absolute garbage. It's all down to faith, F-A-I-T-H, feeble answers for idiots, tyrants and hypocrites. Which are you, Greg? Tell you what, Greg, in my life I've met a lot of evil people. I've met thieves, drunken violent people, drug dealers. I even sailed with a bloke who boasted that he had murdered people. And yet, I've never met anyone so mean-spirited as to refer to a sick, probably dying child as a dog, and quite probably neither have you. And yet, despite that, you worship one. When I ask Christians about this mean-spiritedness, this cruelty, the usual response is, oh, that's not in the Bible. Straight away I know they haven't read the Bible, because you can't miss something like that. The other response I get from people who have read bits and pieces from the Bible is, well, Jesus was just testing the mother's faith. There's even an interpolation to that effect later on, like lots of other interpolations, bits and pieces that are slotted into the Bible centuries later. Jesus was just testing the mother's faith. Well, you know what, Greg? I can think of numerous ways of testing someone's faith. And yet, I'm hard-pressed to think of something more cruel, more evil, than convincing a mother you're going to let her child die just because she's not a Jew, and calling the sick child a dog. I mean, it was quite natural behaviour for Jesus, because he was a Jew and the woman was a Canaanite. The Israelites had driven out most of the Canaanites from their land, slaughtered most of them, but they kept some as slaves. But they looked upon them all as less than humans. And so his response was, the child is a dog. How sick is that? Jesus said over and over again, I have come only for the lost sheep of Israel. He cared nothing for anyone who wasn't an Israelite or a Jew, whichever name you prefer. I come only for the lost sheep of Israel.